It is where artists comes alive. The spoken word brings forth the inner creation of hidden treasure, expressing tones and lyrics felt within the soul, vibration that brings stories untold. This platform represents artists of all backgrounds, be it writers, singers, spoken word, artistic expression, and painting, literature, poetry, and a journey through life. Mystery seeks to bring new ideas and opportunities through the mind at all levels. Wherefore my time leaving tomorrow on the wings of yesterday. The birds fly higher than the mystery of dreams never knew. Why do mellow sounds ring silently without ever leaving memories of my lonely blues? Walk by the calls of nature, sing in harmony, pray for the love of the skies, and dance with the stars like a feminine ballerina, gazing across the stage in a soft-toed ballerina shoe. Welcome to the Artistic Poetry Cafe show, Poetically Speaking, hosted by Terry Benjamin and Ron C. McCrae. As delighted as we are, we can't wait to engulf a new wave of presenting this platform to our audience. So, sit back and enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Now, let's get started.
Yes, let's get started. Let's get started with our boots on the ground, realizing that we are not just going through our present challenges, but we are growing through these challenges. But to grow through this we must get out of our comfort zone and enter into a land of new possibilities. With all that in mind, we offer you, our community, the latest edition of our work in progress that we call Poetically Speaking. We offer you bright moments, food for thought, and a very real possibility of a better tomorrow, because all lives matter. So again, we're with you. I'm Terry Benjamin. This is Ron C. McCrae, and this is Poetically Speaking. We're here Thursdays from 6 to 7 and Sundays from 5 to 6, and we welcome you to join us. Today's agenda is everything must change. Everything must change. And the quote of the day is, it's only after you stepped out of your comfort zone that you begin to change, grow, and transform. And this is from Roy T. Bennett from a book entitled The Light in the Heart. And so again, we really welcome you into our conversation. We have a very special guest today, as always, but we want you to comment, so please send in your commentary, and we'll read that and make you part of our conversation. But as always, we begin with Ron's poetry. Ron, what do you have for us today?
Yes, I have quite a few, but I'm going to do one in short. Okay. This one I'd like to present to you in short, and this is coming from a book written by Terry Williams, A Plentiful Harvest. And it says a lot, creating a balance and harmony through the 7 living virtues. So, but there's one page I just want to read in short to get started. Okay. And it says, because our platform represents a community, and this is why we reach out to you, we ask that you reach out to us. And this is discovering community. I am because we are. My friends are mirrors and crystal balls. They reflect the good in me, and they assure me that my future is as bright as I want it to be. By Veronica Chambers, author. There is a commodity in human experience. If it has happened to one person, it has happened to thousands. By Oprah Winfrey. We are each other's harvest. We are each other's business. We are each other's magnitude and bond. Gwendolyn Brooks. That says a lot.
It does. It definitely does.
That's what we talk about on the platform, and our previous guests and our present guests is the understanding a community.
That's right.
And that's what's important.
That's right. And the thing is, and today we're talking about getting out of your comfort zone, because again, as was suggested by our quotation, there is no growth in the comfort zone. So we want to get out of the comfort zone so we can change, we can grow, and we can transform. Because again, we're in a time in our lives where we really need to become new people to actually deal with these new challenges. And that's why we have our special guest today, a person who is definitely growing and changing and transforming and giving us information so we can grow and change and transform.
You know, our guest is today, and as we always say, we try to say in this habit.
Mm-hmm.
We have a title, but we also identify each other as brother and sister.
That's right.
So our sister today, as our guest, is a sister I had met prior to, but I have seen her on another podcast, and that's what's important.
That's right.
But see, there are different perspectives and different stories how we look at things, you know.
That's right.
So I think, and I like to say, matter of fact, I know we're going to have a conversation today that's going to spark and inflame the minds of those who are so in tune and looking for a new way in life in itself, that this sister will bring forth to you to help us as we continue to learn. So let me just give you a little bit and allow her to give you her background. Her name is Danielle Robbins. Many may have heard, many may know. I don't know. But here, we're pleased to have her. Emerging environmental psychologist and plant scientist. That's important to understand all around your plants and flowers, no matter what you look at.
That's right.
Because how many of y'all stomped them flowers and killed those plants? But nevertheless, we have somebody put your fire out. A land steward strategist, community catalyst, digital designer, marketer, ethnographic researcher. And so I give you that, and it's a little bit, but I allow you to hear directly from her as she introduced herself and continue to get a little more about her background, who she is.
Yes. Welcome, Queen.
Hello. How are
you
you?
doing? Good.
Thank you so much for having me on. Honestly, I said this before as far as all the verbiage, right? That it seems lengthy, it seems heavy. However, it's cultural patterns and how people understand, like the environment. A great example I've used before for environmental psychology is ShopRite and Target, right?
Okay.
They have a very different environment.
Yes.
And individuals know their customers and they know how they would like the layout of the store.
Of course.
So that's like something that I use as an example if individuals don't understand the environmental psychology. Ethnographic and ethnobotany, it's the combination, the interdisciplinary study of understanding one's environment and understanding how plants benefit that environment, and how we cohabitate together, and what we can get from it, I suppose, because before all and everything technology, we had to thrive off the land. We had to live. We had to understand. We had to have just a process that would give us back what we sowed in. And that's where it really took me as far as land stewardship. I was like, okay, this is a thing for me.
Wow.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful. But I see you wear other hats as well. Because here you're the founder of the Social Awareness Project. What is that about?
So in the beginning, it started in 2020. It was a tree farm. That's the It started as a tree farm. It started just as a profitable entity. And then it adapted. I want to say an all-in-one sitting. We were waiting. I was waiting in a long line because 2020 was outrageous.
Oh, yes.
And it all developed. I started to use personal experience and economic benefit.
Yes.
And needing both, I developed a process, an entity that could not only economically benefit a community, it can also sustainably benefit the environment. So it's really two different programs. We have one for women and aiming for individuals struggling with addiction and different types of conditions that they struggle with, environmentally driven circumstances, to take them out of that place and provide them a space, with the environment to be able to reconnect and understand and adapt, as you were saying before, in a positive way.
Yeah. And you're also here listed as CEO of Treehouse Community LLC. What is that
Yeah.
about?
So that's the agricultural business. That is business. That is to
It's business.
produce food on as holistically as possible. I know organic is a word. However, words are words
right.
at the end of the day.
That's
So
right. That's
how
right.
we use them and the context in which we're using them, I feel like it's important. And holistic is really the route I'm going to take right now, because we're not going and doing tilling, which is when you go and turn the soil and disrupt the microbes and
Okay.
and have all these potential negative effects that could happen with your food once you sow them in, because you're not giving the earth its time, right, to be able to produce the way that you might need.
Okay.
So when I say holistic, that's what I mean.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, along with us working on the soil. But
You know, just in short, it's interesting because as we always talk and we try to bring forth a positive view of what life is all about, and as you indicated, and I like to take that and tie it into how many of us really look inside of ourselves and turn over that soil and get
right.
all the toxic out and try to find the natural nutrient to engulf and ingest and take in the natural stuff to help grow from the inside out. And as this sister just indicated, when you get out into life and you see what all that has brought to you, which is life, the plants, the flowers, the trees, the birds, the bees, and all the things that you can think about, they bring to you. But what are you doing? And we pray and we hope and we try to support those who are listening carefully to take heed to this and to get into the whole changing of what life is all about. And this sister is going to continue to bring forth more information about how you can continue to, reap the benefit of your surroundings.
Yeah, and before we go on to our next segment, my question to you is, I want to paint a little scenario. Okay. Let's say I have a big house, and in the back of the house I have a lot of land, a lot of greenery. And my question to you is, if I wanted to develop a situation where I could have my own fresh fruits and vegetables, and in a nutshell, how would I put that together, and what would be the things that I should start maybe growing? Because I like to have a situation where it's from the garden to the table.
Yeah.
So that's what I see. But how could I begin that? Because I got a nice plot in my backyard.
Right.
It's beautiful.
So I would say it starts with where,
Okay.
the location, because you need to know what is native,
Yes.
what is not.
Yes.
So if we're using a context of New Jersey, we can
please.
start with
Yeah.
tomatoes. You
Okay,
can start with
okay.
squash. You
Yes.
can start with even summer squash, which is a little bit different than regular squash. It has a little more of a bittery taste, I would say,
Okay.
depending how early you pick them. Lettuce.
Okay.
And there's always the three sisters, which is beans, carrots, and corn.
Yes.
No, I think I was mistaken. Beans, corn, and squash. I apologize.
Yeah.
Carrots are a little bit difficult, actually, in my experience,
Okay.
just because they are root. But in the best perspective of how to go into that situation, I would say raised beds at first,
Okay.
because again, it goes into honoring the land, right?
Yes,
Before
yes.
you go and dig into the soil, you need to know that the soil is arable. The soil is willing to allow you to even grow anything,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
raised beds is a way to go. You can come up with your own media. When I say media, I mean the potting soil or the seeding soil.
Yes.
You can make your own media yourself, and you can test it a little bit easier than going into the soil and disrupting the microbes yet again, right? And perhaps you might not know where you're starting. So a raised bed, and when I say raised bed, I mean they have like 4x4s, which is 4 foot by 4 foot.
Yes,
You can
yes,
make
of
them
course.
yourself. And I think I will be doing a tutorial on my YouTube
Okay.
on
Look
how to
forward
make
that. Yeah, wow.
a raised bed,
Okay.
just for educational purposes. But yeah, you should start with a raised bed. You can create your own media, and you can go from there.
Yeah.
vermicompost, regular compost.
Well, again, like I said, I mean, I can see it. I can see going out into my backyard and bringing in my fruits and vegetables and making my own salad, that kind of thing. I mean, I live next to a farmer's market, and I find some reason to go there every day because I like the fresh fruits and the bananas and all the other kind of stuff. But again, what you're saying is not only sustainable, but it's also economical. Just imagine the money that you'll be saving if you had your own garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to definitely get back to that. But I want to move on to another segment of the program, and this is called Mind, Body, and Books. And in this segment, I usually bring a book from my own personal library. And I've been, for some reason, Ron, I've been going back to some of the older books, some of the books that are, were printed in 1970. And this book right here is from 1980, and it's entitled The Sky's the Limit. And this is from Dr. Wayne Dyer, one of my mentors. I never met the man, but I read all his books and I watched his videos and whatnot. And he has this idea about us developing and becoming a no-limit person. Because sometimes we limit ourselves. Say, women don't do that, or men don't do that, or I'm too young for this, or I'm too old for that. But according to Dr. Wayne Dyer, we should really try to become no-limit people. And I just want to read a paragraph from this particular book, The Sky's the Limit. And he says here, how can you be a no-limit person? And Dr. Dyer says, many leaders in the field of human behavior have used their own technologies to describe the highest levels of human emotional evolution. Among them, the man in my profession, whom I most admire, Abraham H. Maslow. Maslow used the term self-actualization to describe those he considered most highly evolved in terms of mental health. Carl Rogers talked about fully functioning people. Eric Fromm's conception was of the autonomous person. David Reisman talked of the inner directed man, and Carl Jung about the individual person. There is so much overlap in the characters of each of these scholars attributes to what I have called the no-limit person. But there is also lack of agreement about specific and still less hint in their writing as to how an individual can attain these heights. And if you study psychology, you know this the Maslow pyramid of needs. At the top of the pyramid is the self-actualized person. That's our highest evolution. But in the bottom is just basic. And Maslow says that, most people are just sort of bogged down in the basics, and they don't rise to become self-actualized person. When I think of the self-actualized person, I think of Oprah Winfrey. I think of Tyler Perry. They're at the top of the pyramid. And Dr. Maslow said that only a few people can reach this top. But Dr. Wayne Dyer, my mentor, says that everybody can reach that, but they have to be willing to do the work. And I look at you and I see what you're doing, and I see your evolution. We'll talk about how you got to this particular point, but the thing is that you're making an effort. You're making an effort to be a better you, and I'm sure this is something that is not easy. But I think it's worth it, What do you think about that, Ronnie? Can everybody reach that pinnacle, or is it just too much work, or is it just impossible, or is it just special people?
Well, it's interesting because seriously, and all jokes aside and whatnot, we try to have a little humor, but there's a seriousness here.
We joke.
And just listen to what you just read, and our sister, what she have started out with and what she will continue, is that here, everyone who has seen or been to Egypt, throughout Egypt and other areas, there are pyramids.
That's right.
And so whether it's a pharaoh or a queen, somebody had a pyramid. So yes, everybody who labors, listen to me, labor, you have to work for what you want to get to the place you want to be.
That's right.
And if depending on the level you want to be, could be the tip of your pyramid. Your pyramid doesn't have to equal somebody else's pyramid. Don't look at somebody else's, but look at your own self. So at the bottom is where we all start at, with nothing.
Yeah, right.
But you can't get past the basement if you're not trying to build some steps to get up or something to get to the first floor.
That's true. That's
You
true.
see, so we all have to labor. This system, as we're trying to educate you. We want you to educate us because we're constantly learning. So yes, everyone can be at the top of their pyramid, but you have to build your pyramid. Or you with a community of somebody who's willing to work with you and to labor and help you build the pyramid. Because as you building your pyramid, you helping them build their pyramid. Because again, one hand can't do it all by themselves.
Yeah, and again, speaking with this young lady, we see different possibilities. If you would have told me when I was growing up that I would be a college professor, that I would retire as a college professor, I would say, "Are you crazy?" I was smoking that crack because I didn't see myself in that way, And and again, and just be really transparent. I'm trying to eat better. I'm trying to eat more fruits and vegetables and that kind of stuff. And my son, I don't know if he helped me or not, but he says he follows the 80-20 rule. Which 80% of the time you do what's right, and 20% you give yourself a little leeway, And then he's very much into physical fitness and whatnot, and got me into that. And you have your cheat days, And I said, well, you can have these forbidden treats occasionally, okay. And I found myself, Ron. Now I'm doing pretty good, okay, because I let go of the fried chicken, the mac and cheese. I don't do that anymore, But I say occasionally I can have buttered pecan ice cream. But where I messed up, Ron, is that I didn't realize the definition of occasionally, okay? Occasionally is not once a week, because that's a habit. So I got the habit of having buttered pecan ice cream once a week. Okay, now it's ridiculous. Now I say I got to let it go. Because when I would do it and I would trick myself, I would get a pint of the Haagen-Dazs buttered pecan. This is not an advertisement of Haagen-Dazs. I would get that pint, and what I would do, I would eat half, and I would put the other half away. Then I would sit there. Then I'm thinking, boy, that half a pint is kind of lonely in there. So then I would go as an act of mercy
to help the ice cream.
Yeah, so I would kill the pint. So now, so what I'm doing now, and you gotta hold me accountable. Now I'm gonna have my main meal, like I'm doing intermittent fasting, so I'm gonna have it late in the day. Okay, but then I want to have a little treat at night, and I can't do the ice cream anymore. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna have nuts. Almonds or cashews or that kind of thing. And I want you to ask me if I'm still doing that, okay?
Well, I'm gonna give you from a different perspective, so you
Please.
can eat all you want. Well,
Okay.
I'm getting ready to say.
Well, come on, hey, brother, because I need something sweet,
Well, let me say this in short.
Yeah, please.
Years ago, I used to
We're helping you, community.
I used to buy the Rocky Road ice cream. I mean, it was so delicious. I was eating it constantly all week. I mean,
you got
it
me
coming
salivating.
half a gallon. Until I went to the doctor. He said, well, your cholesterol a little high. I said, I don't know why. He said, well.
How could that be?
So I had stopped. But what I also learned, okay, and here's the other thing right quick.
Yeah.
I used to buy the soul ice cream.
Okay.
Now, $5.49, I was buying that 2 or 3 times a week, and I realized the cost, but I was eating it up just like you said.
Yeah.
So here's what I do now. I make my own ice cream.
I'm taking notes here. Yeah.
You take frozen fruit, and I use coconut milk. And you can put all the nuts in there, and you eat all day long and all night long because it's all natural and it's beneficial. You don't have to worry about overindulging.
Yes.
You see,
so
I do it. Believe me, at least for me, it's delicious. 'Cause I had pistachio, I had walnuts, and you have mangoes, you have bananas. So you can mix all of your frozen fruit in your ice cream or your milk. Now I know everybody drink different milk one now, but I drink the coconut milk. So you can. It's up to you. But that's your natural ice cream.
Yeah. Well, that sounds a lot healthier than what I was doing. Okay, but I was taking myself in hand, and I promised to do better, and and I'm going to put myself on honor system, and I'm just going to say, in the morning when I laying in bed and map out my day, I'm not going to go there. And then what kills it that that we have this Chinese market and they have the Puerto Pecan for $2.99. And that's what killed me. The $2.99. But community, family, and friends, I'm going to do better. But now I want to serenade our guests,
Absolutely.
Yes, I'm not going to sing to you, but I'm going to read to you some songs that sort of caught my attention. And this is the segment of the program we call Music is Lit. Music is Literature, where I take the songs of the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, and sometimes 90s, and read them as poetry. And Ron, I'm into my favorite person. And when I do this artist, I always say, let's open to the Book of Wonder. Now, it's not in the Bible.
We might start
Yeah, right. It's not in the Bible, but it is the Book of Wonder. Right. And this segment is called the Book of Wonder and Beyond, because I'm going to do two of Stevie, then I got somebody else. But I want to start with Stevie Wonder. This is 1972. And this is a special song because this was written by Stevie Wonder and Sarita Wright, who was his wife at that particular time, And I said, man, I don't know. I'm digressing. I'm going to get back to this. But he has so many beautiful women he can't see, How is that? How does he know that,
Believe me, he got a secret.
Yeah, I think he did. Because
I can see it.
I got 4 eyes, and I'm still messing up, and I'm picking the wrong. But this song was written by Stevie and his then wife Sarita Wright, and it's called Girl Blue. And it goes like this. Hello, morning. Good morning to the one I love. Crystal ringlets paint a picture of a gold sunrise above. Little girl, you're sad, though all you have is visible to you. Within your heart, there days apart that like the sky is blue. Shifting breezes give the inner spectrum of your glance. Leaves on branches for your pleasure perform a soothing dance. Little girl, it seems in all my dreams your happiness is due, but still they last. They're in your past events that make you blue. Thoughts of love are in your mind. Their splendid hopes push them aside. A look at life is what you need to try. In an instant, there'll be sunshine sprinkled every place. Drops of rain will kiss the softness of your lovely face. Little girl, be fair. Show yourself you care. Let others care for you. Before it's too late, because time won't wait till your heart's no longer blue. Little girl, be smart. Don't break your own heart. There's love waiting for you before it's too late, because time won't wait till your heart's no longer blue. And that's Stevie Wonder, Girl Blue. And it tells a story of I can imagine a young woman trying to get herself together. But I know for myself that, when I'm in a time of, like not knowing where I should go, I talk to God. And this is a song, this is from 1976. This is entitled Have a Talk with God. And this is also from Stevie Wonder. And this is from the epic album, Songs in the Key of Life. I always say if I was stranded on an island and I only could bring one album, I would bring this because it's a double album. I'm cheating a little bit, but it's 2 in 1. But again, this is from the Songs in the Key of Life, and this is Have a Talk with God. And it says here, there are people who let the problems of today lead to conclude that for them life is not the way. But every problem has an answer, and if yours you cannot find, you should talk it over to Him. He'll give you peace of mind. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. Many of us feel we walk alone without a friend, never communicating with the one who lives within. Forgetting all about the one who never lets you down, and you can talk to Him anytime. He's always around. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. Well, He's the only free psychiatrist that's known throughout the world for solving the problems of all men, women, little boys, and girls. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. When your load's too much to bear, just go talk to God. He cares. I know He does. When you feel your life's too hard, just go have a talk with God. Thank you. Thank you very much. And that's also from Stevie Wonder. And the last song that I want to do, I'm really sort of looking toward the future of our weather, and summer's coming. I don't know when, because I thought it came today, and I came out with no coat on, and I said, no, I got to go at least get a jacket. So I had to go back, because I was born in August. I'm a summer baby. I love summer. It can never get too hot. People say it's too hot. No, if it's too hot, go in the house, you know. But for me, summertime is where it's at. And this is not Stevie, but this is another genius, you know. There is a documentary on Hulu called The Burden of Genius, and this is about Sly Stone, of Sly and the Family Stone. And, you know, he is still out there. Sly is still alive, but hanging around with George Clinton and smoking all these drugs and whatnot, just, you know, scrambled his brain, you know, but he's still there. And so this is a classic Sly and the Family Stone tune, and it's called Hot Fun in the Summertime. And this is from 1968. And it goes, end of the spring, and here she comes back. High, 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 high there. Them summer days, those summer days. That's when I have most of my fun back. High, 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 high there. Them summer days, those summer days. I cloud nine when I want to. Out of school, yeah. Country fair in the country sun, and everything is cool. Oh, yeah. Hot fun in the summertime. Hot fun in the summertime. First of the fall, and there she goes back. Them summer days, those summer days. But when I want to. Out of school, yeah. Country fair in the country sun, and everything is cool. Oh, yeah. Hot fun in the summertime. Hot fun in the summertime. Hot fun in the summertime. And that is Music is Lit. And when I read these songs, I see Ron moving. I know he wants to break out in song. And I'm saying to you, brother, if I go through this and you feel the urge, if you feel the inspiration to just sing like Stevie Wonder, see what I mean? See, that's what happens, you know, because that music gets into your soul, right?
Absolutely.
And you never forget it. And one of the things, you know, a friend of mine, her name was Evie Rhodes. She wrote this book, and it was a horror story. And the scariest part in that book, and I told Evie, I said, "You're brilliant, but you scared the heck out of me," because she had this one scene, Ron, where the characters, they go into the library, and they go into the library and they open up the books, and there's no words. There's no words. Every page is blank. And that, for me, that's a nightmare. I wake up, I'm sweating now, you know. That, just the thought of that, you know. Just the thought of that. I saw my son took me to see Sinners this Monday, and that was a great movie. And that was horror, but just to imagine no words in books, that scares the heck out of me.
You know what's interesting to that? Even with Stevie, let me go back for a second.
Yeah, please.
You know, first you open up a book, there's no words. But this is what we talk about. This is the whole conversation. This is why we have fun and whatnot. Because if you close your eyes, what do you see? You don't see anything. There's no words. But you create.
That's right.
Your whole life. You create any and everything. Like you said, with all due respect to the brother Stevie, you know, he's blind, but yet still, look all that he has. He got some fine women. But the point is seriously, like you just said, open up a book with no words. It's just pages. So the question is, it's just like a journal.
That's right. That's
you know, you have a journal. There's nothing in there until you put something
down there. Yeah. And the thing is, and I think, you know, the last time we were together, I spoke about Albert Einstein, and I said that Albert Einstein says that imagination is better than knowledge, because there is no limit to our imagination, you know. And I think for myself, I think that creativity, you know, I'm just amazed by how many people live and do creative things that I never imagined. I go past gardens and I go past farms and whatnot, but I wasn't thinking about the creativity that it would take to put that together, you know. But again, I think it takes a special person to have a vision beyond what's there. You know, we as writers, we get so excited, man. You know, we see a blank piece of paper. I'm gonna fill that up. You know, I'm gonna put something on that. You know, that's not gonna be a blank canvas. But I look at what you're doing. You know, and I guess now this is for me one of the favorite parts of the program, because now we give you a chance to just stretch out. You know, whatever you want to share with us, you can do that. And because I do believe, you know, that you've gone beyond your comfort zone, I believe that you become a whole new person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I look at you, I'm awe inspired. I mean, who is this person? Who is this woman? You know.
Yep.
So I mean, how did you come about? That's my question. You know?
Tell me how to get my hands
right,
dirty.
I want to get my hands dirty. I want to get in that dirt. I want to till the soil and whatnot. But how did you come to this? You know, how did you become you? If I can say it.
1991.
I began as a child.
I mean, how did I become me? Life experiences, a journey, just like everyone else in this world, right?
Yes.
And instead of using my struggles as something that could hold me down, I used it for something that I could better myself with. And I know that addiction is real.
Yes,
In a plethora of different ways, right? Like
of course.
There's substances, there's clicking a pen too many times, like
That's
things hold people in different ways.
Okay.
And I had a rough time in my life that I had to rewire my brain, right?
Yeah. Well, you become a new person.
To re-see, to re-understand, to re-overstand the system. And as I said before, I was homeschooled. So I didn't have that in school everyday lifestyle.
Yes.
I lived off of nature. I learned off of nature. And then I went to public school for high school, and I lost my mind again.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
That would derail you.
Right.
You know?
So it was a process, for sure. But thankfully, I was able to, like I said, use those struggles and the things that are a daily condition, if you want to use that word, to better myself. And me helping myself ultimately helps others. I'm strongly aware of that because I know if I don't help myself, I can't help anyone else. And so how did I come about? I know that there was something ingrained in me that came back around once I touched the soil. Wow. And I realized that the understanding, the communication, even the quiet, right? It wasn't as quiet as it is when you're at your house and your mind's racing.
Yes.
Right? Or if you're trying to contemplate if you should go do something really or go do something really good.
That's
like
right.
It's a difference. And it's a space where I can understand myself and help myself personally develop. And figure myself out because it's an ever-changing world, as you had said. The adaptation and being able to understand yourself in a different light, like getting yourself out of that comfort zone. When we're comfortable, we're complacent, and we don't we don't necessarily look outside of oneself when you're comfortable, right? There's no reason for it.
No.
I'm good. I have money. I have this. Like, I'm good. But once you get out of that comfort zone and you realize that, I have some work to do. I have some things that I need to work on within myself. That's where I started the business and the entity and the passion to find a space where individuals can not only think about where they're going to go next, but help and steward the land all at once.
Would it be incorrect to call you an urban farmer? Would that be Would that be a description?
I mean, I wouldn't say no. I wouldn't not turn around, right? I would not turn around. However, I don't do too much work in urban areas.
Okay. Okay.
So I wouldn't want to take it away from an individual that is actively in an urban space.
Yeah.
I've done a couple hydroponic systems, right? However, I'm more in the field aspect, in suburban areas, on acreage of land.
Okay.
Community gardens.
Okay. Yeah.
And not to say that urban areas cannot have a community garden. Like let's get that going,
okay.
right?
I hear you.
However, I have not had too much to do within that space, and that's because I was not raised, and that's another barrier that we're talking about advocating for ourselves, right? I would love to be in that space. I would love to get involved. But sometimes there's barriers as far as like I'm not necessarily from those areas, and I don't get access as easily as one might think or hope. But I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to because it's a great space.
What you're doing is so unique, and like you said, you how many acres are you working with?
Well, right now there's like, I said the word like again, but there's 1 acre of land that I have currently.
Okay.
We were working with another landowner. However, that is kind of put on pause for right now.
Okay.
So right now we're working with the acre of land and seeing where that goes, the pilot project, just getting individuals there and fixing up what I have now and hoping to expand, hoping to get some more funding to expand, right? And bring the workshops and the ecological knowledge and programming that could benefit a community in the urban space, because you can take what it is and bring it back home.
I love that. Now, before I go to my brother, is there any other women in this space? I mean, did you when you started this, did you look to other women involved in this, or?
Yeah. So again, back to 2020, I feel like we can never forget that moment.
Yeah.
There was a group of women that I got together. Or we all got each other together. I can't even put that all on myself.
Okay.
We all got ourselves together, single mothers, and we made a space online on Zoom to speak, right? And it transformed into getting out to the soil and actually, doing what it is that everyone felt was right for themselves.
Okay.
And that's where I think another portion of the whole entity and the baby was born, right?
I love it.
Because I saw that everybody was like, wow, this is a thing. This can be a thing. And I was like, well, this has been a thing for me. Like
That's right. It's not a new thing for me, right?
Right. I'm very interested. So I saw that it benefited them, and they saw that it benefited them, and now they love their house plants and things of such. And I thought, why not take this out and duplicate it or have it in a bigger format?
Yes, I love it. Ron, what say you? Because this is really fascinating to me.
Exactly, seriously. And a couple of things you have indicated, and I want to use these to tie into my point. Short circuit, and a reset. Because again, if there's a short circuit, electricity, whatnot, and everybody get off, they don't know how to get reset. But a community is with somebody who's around you to help you reset your circuit.
That's right.
And so using that, and as you also indicated about what you have presented to us today, what you have learned and been developing over the period of time, is really says a lot. When I was at AT&T, what I've learned is that, they used to have a wafer. What they call a wafer was maybe just that big, right? On that wafer, it was a bunch of tiny little chips, just that big. Can you see my eyeball? On that tiny chip, at that time, was more than 60,000 bits of information. that as you see today with Wi-Fi and everything else, if you take the amount of storage and information on these flash drives or whatever your case would be, the computer, there's thousands of information
That's right.
on something tiny.
Yes.
So again, and I use this in a sense, you have a lot of information on that tiny little chip that falls on part of the wafer, that's part of the community, whether it's women, brothers and sisters, or whatever. And as you indicated, whether it's ShopRite, Walmart, or somebody, whatever the case would be, because they are part of that tiny place. They just was able to gather the community, which is us.
Yes.
And so you are valuable. What you said is valuable information, no matter how you look at it, because again, what you're sharing is helping me, and I'm quite sure it's helping everybody else to learn more about what you're doing. And one of the most important things here is getting your hands into it. There's no such thing. Don't tell me you can't
get your hands dirty.
Salon, you can't get your hands dirty. You got high heels on and everything else.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Barefooted. Take those things off more barefoot because you want to feel nature. You want to know what you're digging into. Because if you don't understand what you're digging into, do you understand what you're taking into yourself?
Yeah, because one of the things, or two things that I want to talk about when you're talking about being in the ground, and there are people say that you should walk barefoot in the soil. That they say that's grounded. You're being grounded. And then you said that you're in the field and there's stillness. It's almost like a meditation. I think a lot of times with kids, I mean they go outside and they play. They make up things in their imagination, and they get all in the dirt and that kind of thing. And for them, the earth is their friend. Is their friend. Is really part of their playground. And my question to you is, if you could take a program into the schools, I'm talking about public schools, what would your program look like?
Well, I actually worked as an intern at University of Georgia.
Okay, great.
And it was called Bug to School.
I love it.
And we came up with a program that was to help individuals or help the institution have their children have a better growing process. So there was a session over the summer that we had about 4 or 5 different raised beds, depending on the situation or the space that they had.
Yes.
Mostly for my research, it was the insects and what different pests were aggravating the different types of vegetables. So that was my research. However, for the children, they were able to come out and see the fresh vegetables and learn how to put the seeds into the soil, be able to even understand what seeds and what season, and how to which ones work in symbiotic relationship, within the soil, so that you can have a less of a maintenance process. Because that's a big thing. You can put 2 plants next to each other and they do not vibe, right? That is just like humans.
Exactly.
And it's a whole combative process, and now you have to deal with weeds and pests, all these other things that compile. And if you were able or provided the knowledge or seeked the knowledge, you can understand that plants are equally the same. When it comes to, I feel your presence, you feel my presence, right? And they can capture the nitrogen. They can harness things that helps the other plant, that it becomes low maintenance. Pests are deterred, right? Like they don't come around because the fragrance. So there's a lot of ways that you can have your plants work with you. And teaching that to the children was essential. I guess that's what we're getting to.
Yes.
And then I also worked at a program for individuals with disabilities, doing the same concept, bringing and having them come out and they loved it. It was a beautiful process, because they, were able to touch the fruits, or not even fruits, I apologize, touch the vegetables that they planted 4 to 8 weeks earlier, and see what and sometimes they have no poker face, right? Like they tell you everything. No. They're like, this is amazing and I love it. And you're just like, you can soak it all in and see that the benefit is there as far as teaching the youth.
Yeah, I love that, and like you said, kids don't have a poker face. You know, if they like something, they like it. Okay, they're all in.
Or if they
to
don't,
it. Oh,
they
yeah,
don't.
Oh, yeah. Yes, on the other side of it,
They'll tell you the truth.
Right.
they will.
They will.
That's what I love about children. So, what say you, Ron? What do you think about this?
You know, it's actually, I'm tell you the truth, speechless in a sense, but it's a constant learning.
Yeah, it is.
No matter how you look at it, everybody has a story. That's what life is. History is everybody's story,
Yes,
everybody's experience. We have good, bad, or indifferent, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
But here, we try to promote and listen to our sister, our guests, and previous whatnot. Is try not to live in the past of ignorance and stupidity or darkness, but try to bring everyone to light with new ideas. And even when I open up, you know, just in short, you know, a platform representing artists of all backgrounds, writers, singers, spoken word, artistic expression, painting, literature, poetry, journey through life. You see, what do you have? What have you learned? It's no such thing. And matter of fact, it's so true, especially with kids. Kids have no shame. They just get out there and they wallow whatever.
Oh, yeah, they might get dirty.
When you become an adult, for some apparent reason, you forget to have that childlike in you. And those who read the Bible, whatnot, Paul said to be as innocent as a child.
That's right. You're right.
He said you find that in the Old Testament, in Proverbs. To be innocent as a child. And so today, we can be innocent as a child. We can have fun. We can laugh and whatnot. And matter of fact, here's the other thing. See, when I go to the park, right, and I brought myself back to this point, what you said earlier, and that is, once I do my exercise and walk around, I take my shoes off, and I stand in the grass because you are with nature.
That's right.
That sun that's shining comes through that solar energy comes to your palm of your hand, to your body, down to the earth, and
you feel that,
and go right back. That's where we get our energy from. That's what static electricity. So when you used to touch something, whoa, now all of a sudden you tell something, nothing happened, because we are actually short circuit. There's no energy in you. You may think it, but you don't. And that's what's important. So our guest today is on point in so many ways, because listening and learning a lot of different things, and that's what's important.
Yeah, and again, and I really thank you, because a lot of times we just overlook this treasure that we have in our soul. You know, we keep on thinking, well, let me go to the market, you know, and then a lot of us, we don't understand that the how special fresh fruit is. You know, we look at the frozen vegetables and that kind of stuff, and that's a poor imitation of what was real, because it's so full of preservatives and all this other stuff, you know.
I feel like not even along with the preservatives and all the other things that compile, it's really the fact of how we get our food and how you eat your food.
Yes.
Just nourishing, you reap what you sow, and putting in something, you get something out.
Yes.
And that's the same with the symbiotic relationship. Nature is here to provide.
Wow.
And we're here to be fruitful and prosper.
Yeah. But like you said, but it's provided to us,
Yeah, it's all here.
It's given to us, But
it's the disconnect that's I guess adapted, if we want to use that word, or just been institutionalized within our narrative of how.
We had a guest on our last program, and he talked about the conditioned mind pattern. We're conditioned to do this, to do that, and we think that's life. Okay, it's not life. It's a pattern, and once you break out of that pattern, you can really live a real life, or authentic life. And then, like we say on Poetically Speaking, when we have these conversations, well, my brother, I know tonight he's going to write probably 4 or 5 poems just based on what you said. But again, what you're sharing with us is a springboard, for a better us, right?
Absolutely.
And I see you got a poem there, right?
I don't sound
we got about maybe 10 minutes.
Okay, I just want to read this, and one in short and this one.
Okay.
So let me read the short one right quick. This is from my book, Organic Flavors of Life. In my garden, In my garden, deep, rich, masculine, earthly soil, rooted with the finest seeds, sprout the richness in the stalks. Her beauty rests in the embarrassment in the base in, I'm sorry, my own stuff.
Yeah. You should know
My
that.
embracement of security, wisdom, knowledge, fortitude, prudence, and justice. Deep, rich shades of blackness. The fragrance of her tenderness embellishes my weakness to love with great admiration. Aqua permeates the nutrients needed to agulate the soul. Our souls are cultivated together. Mighty warriors, we stand. Understand, organic flavors of life. That's what we're talking about. What life? The garden. No matter how you look at it, getting your hands into it.
That's right.
And I'd like to read this one too. A serene moment in time ties in. A serene moment in time to find that passion. Our sister said that when she found herself inside of nature's cultivating her soul inside and out.
That's right. All right.
In the morning dew, I feel serene, living in the present. Life offers many unclear yet clear moments that make me appreciate the opportunity to smile and thank you. The sun, moon, and stars gleam 24/7, even when I'm sad, upset, feeling down, or in despair. Aligning one structure with the universe in rotation as each element changes, so does the inner soul's renewal. Wellness is the art of cultivating everything within the temporal perspective. Serenity provides the opportunity to shift from the reign of the mind through the mental, physical, emotional, and spiritual aspect that lie beneath the surface of the mind. Isolation is a time to meditate on the atmosphere beyond the universe without losing focus as the blood flows through the entire network of my veins. The beauty of restoring your thoughts process is essential to the nervous system. A calamitous action fractured the surface before repairs are acknowledged, and the rebirth and new growth descends into despair. Seeing is a false narrative, but believing is the reality of everything. What is your story in the book, Today's Legacy? How is it written, and what changes will you make today or tomorrow? The birth of life captures the element of time, a glorious stage of memories. As each moment fuels feelings, soft artwork strokes create a parade of floral thoughts that emits a fragrance, and one cannot return or find the direction. A serene moment stands still while gazing into the membranes of the mind. Whispering winds fade away.
Thank you for that. And again, this has been Poetically Speaking, the place for the spoken word. Our special guest today was Danielle Robin, who is the founder of the Social Awareness Project and also the CEO of Treehouse Community LLC. Today we brought you some food for thought, some things that you can think about, and really to help you get out of your comfort zone, because we know that there's really no growth in the comfort zone. And that's why we really come to you twice a week, on Thursday from 6 to 7 and Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. And again, we try to develop a community of, I used to say like-minded people, but now I say like-spirited people, because that's what it is. And we look at our evolution as developing our mind, our body, and our spirits. And as always, I give my brother the impossible task of taking us out of here and giving us some more food for thought. So, Ron, I got about 5 minutes. Can you do something with that?
I'll find something.
You'll find something.
Let me just read this. And again, when I say speechless, because this conversation has been so overwhelmed and rich.
Yeah.
It's really unimaginable. It's motivational, inspirational, and it moves. So we know that everyone at the sound of our voice and our guest today, you received something. So we look forward to seeing you to come back with that energy. And here, rejuvenation. The mind absorbs solar through its lens, rejuvenating electrolytes throughout the body, and senses receive the nutrients while penetrating its way through each organ cells. A refreshing feeling that makes life worth appealing to, fresh as a cool morning spring, yet fall feelings is where time welcomes us into the moment that our inner emotion speaks volumes of messages without any confusion. Listen to the sounds of nothing as rhythm writes the notes to the image. While standing back, one can slowly see the illustration of description where poetry comes alive. Rejuvenation is the birth of a legacy left in the past far beyond our vision, to see without knowing from whence we cometh, and tomorrow has no boundaries. Transformation embellishes the mind to pulsate the power within the regain superiority with oneself. Living a healthy and well-balanced life, one can change the way you celebrate and sensate feelings, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
So it's always important.
Yeah, and that is from my brother's book here, and he entitled this one, We See Colors, The Organic Flavors of Life. This is poems by Ronald C. McCrae. I'm Terry Benjamin, and you are the community that we come and we try to give you some life, give you some life in your mind, in your body, and in your spirit, So with that said, we thank you for tuning in. We ask you to subscribe. Also, we ask you to tell your friends and family so they can also tune in to what we're doing, okay? Because we're putting it down, and obviously you're picking it up, and I thank you for that. So good evening.